What a shocker. Over at the SBA have been screwing things up and dragging their feet, not providing any sort of guidance. Not only have they completely botched the EIDL grant and loan program, the PPP, which was initially heralded as the SBA's only recent success, is now turning into one heck of a quagmire. The original 6-month deferral program, the period where you didn't have to make any principal or interest payments, that expires within the next month for many businesses. What is the holdup and what can you do about it? All that and more in today's video. Hello and welcome to Stephen Carlson Show. I'm Stephen Carlson. I'm a tech entrepreneur, real estate investor, author, YouTuber, and volunteer paramedic. I don't know about you, but I am sick and tired of the DC swamp from both parties, completely focusing on their own political careers and personal gains. And if you are like me, you should check out my book, America Hijacked, where I show the past 50 plus years of the lies from both the left and the right, and the massive corruption at the core of our government. There is a link to the book down in the description. Please check it out. Doing so helps to support me and this channel. I appreciate it. Thanks. Now, I had already completed the script to this video, and I was about to head into the studio to record when a news article hit the wire announcing Congress's intention to leave DC until after the election. This is total BS. The Democrats want to shut down the economy because that way they can blame it all on Trump. And then the Republicans, they don't want to make a deal because they want to be able to blame the Democrats. I am so sick and tired of all of this crap from both political parties. Okay, deep breath. As I said in the video opening, the initial 6-month deferral period, it's quickly coming up and will be ending very quickly for the first wave PPP loan recipients. In my case, one of my businesses received our PPP loan on April 22nd, which means by the end of October, our 6-month deferral would have expired. Now, luckily, some bipartisan support back at the end of May did address a few of these PPP shortfalls. On June 5th, President Trump signed into law the Paycheck Protection Program Flexibility Act of 2020, or just the PPP Flexibility Act for short. This short piece of legislation extended the deferral period until the lender receives the applicable given amount from the SBA. What the? Is this basically an open-ended statement that the deferral period will just continue until the SBA gets around to actually processing things? Now, on the surface, this is great. No payments until, well, for a long time, I guess. No longer do we have to stress about the 6-month period coming to an end. Or do we? There's a big issue that is being overlooked here, and it's going to bite a lot of businesses in the rear end. Now, before I get to the nitty-gritty of the law, remember the lawyers that I have chained up down in my basement, they get a little rowdy whenever I talk about legal stuff. And the only way to quiet them down is to make a quick disclaimer. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a CPA, I have no certifications, nor pieces of paper hanging on the wall behind me. My imprisoned team of lawyers downstairs demand that you consult with your own lawyer and just don't rely upon my interpretation of the law. Remember, I'm just some random dude on the internet. Okay, now with all that out of the way, the big issue that I see with the current PPP situation, it revolves around how the deferral period works. Remember, PPP forgiveness is only the principal. You are still responsible for the interest. Because this is a deferral only, the interest has been accruing since day one. Now, of course, it's only 1%, but that amount does add up pretty quickly. The average PPP loan amount was $74,000, and even at the low rate of 1%, with daily compounding interest, you will owe an additional $754,008 for the first year in interest. Add another year after that, and that's an additional $761.77. Now you have wasted over $1,500 in interest if Congress allows the SBA to continue to drag this out. All this just for a free forgivable loan? These numbers only get larger if you take the full $2 million PPP loan. But honestly, that's for much larger small businesses, not the small mom and pop businesses that I focus on with my channel. Now, I'm sure some of you will defend the SBA and say,
But they have a hard job. You should be nice to them. There's no way they're going to let it go for another year.
well, first, the PPP Flexibility Act does specify that currently there is a maximum deferral time of 10 months, but that requirement is only for the borrower to ask for forgiveness. There is no maximum time for the SBA to actually authorize it. This means the only time requirement is upon you, the business owner, not on the SBA. They can take as long as they want, and I'm sure if you remember the whole EIDL grant, where the law said they had 3 days to pay you the grant, but many businesses were waiting months, they're not exactly good with timetables. With that history in mind, you know that this 10 months could easily get drug out to multiple years. So how is this going to affect you? Well, as simple as that question sounds on the surface, it's actually very complicated to answer because there's no way for me to know your exact situation. So instead, how about a little hypothetical example that may apply to you? Now, before I get there, please don't forget to check out Webull and claim your one free stock valued up to $1,600 when you deposit $100. Check out the link below in the description. Now, back to PPP. In my example, we will have Acme Enterprises, and they sell anvils to local coyotes in town. And because of the pandemic, there have been fewer roadrunners on the street, causing fewer anvils to be sold. I know, this is an unfathomable tragedy, and that poor coyote is going to have to find a different way to catch his roadrunners. But let's move on. Acme Enterprises takes out a PPP loan for $74,000 to pay their blacksmiths while business is slow. They file all the required paperwork, and then they wait. And then they wait. And they wait. And they wait some more. About a year into the process, business is slowly starting to return to normal, and all the local coyotes are purchasing anvils to assist in catching those evil roadrunners. Acme wants to expand their business by purchasing new manufacturing equipment. The problem is that $74,000 forgivable loan plus the $1,500 in interest shows up as debt. Acme has a few options, and none of them are very good. They could pay off the $75,515.85 out of their pocket, thus losing the entire forgivable loan nature, or they could be forced to take higher interest loans because they are considered a higher risk from the bank due to their outstanding debt. Yes, now I know this is a bit of a silly story, but I think it highlights some of the current PPP process issues. Interest is accruing since day one, and you are responsible for that interest. The longer that the SBA takes to approve your forgiveness, the more money you will end up owing in the long run. Plus, until the loan is finally forgiven, it is valid debt that you owe, and you must account for that on your company accounting, possibly preventing you from seeking other normal business and expansion loans. The only silver lining to the current guidance on the PPP is coming from the IRS. Yeah, I know, this is strange. I am actually praising the IRS. Wow, 2020 is one heck of a dumpster fire for a year. Anyways, the IRS has instructed banks not to submit a Form 1099-C, that's a cancellation of debt, once the PPP funds are forgiven. So thankfully, you will not be charged taxes on this money. Normally, when a debt is forgiven, it's considered income, and normally you would have to pay taxes on that. But the IRS is following the intent of the CARES Act and making sure that small businesses are not taxed for this. Now back to the PPP forgiveness. What can be done about this delay? Well, sadly not much, as Congress has no apparent desire to hold the SBA accountable for any of their actions. Or more accurately, their inactions. The only thing that we can do is to get the word out and put pressure on Congress. Share this video with hashtag Team EIDL. Email this video to the local news stations and email all of your local representatives. Demand they do something about the SBA's handling of the EIDL grant and loan program. While you are at it, make it clear to them that small businesses need the $10,000 EIDL grant that they were authorized back in the CARES Act, and that we need a second round of PPP funding to help keep our great employees on payroll. Thank you very much for watching. Please make sure you click like and subscribe. Doing so really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks, and I'll see you on the next one.